All right, so good afternoon. Confirm that you can hear me and that you can see me. Yes, and let me know where you are streaming live from. It's at Tuesday live, but of course, Tuesday live moved to Wednesday, of course, because we needed to be here on a Wednesday. Okay, please let me know that you can see me, you can hear me. Confirm that in the comment section. Thank you for joining me today. All right. Yes, it was my anniversary yesterday, of course, and that's why we didn't come on Tuesday live. Let me know that you have a clear network. Am I clear? Am I clear? Please let me know. Thank you so much for all of the anniversary wishes. I really do appreciate every single one of you. All right. Yes, if you can see me, you can hear me, so that we can go. Okay. I see you guys. I see you. I see you. Okay, so today we are looking at 7 essential life skills every child needs to thrive in life and in school. I really wanted to do this session with you guys, and that's why I insisted that we do it for this week. All right, please, is my stream clear? I want to reconfirm so that I will be sure that I'm using the right network for this conversation today. Please do confirm. The picture is not too clear. All right, please give me a minute. All right, a lot of people have said it's blurry, so I am going to try yet another network. Forgive me, I'm not seated at my workplace today. So, of course, it's a bit, just give me a minute, please. All righty. So sorry about that, please. Okay, I am hoping that this is a lot more better now. Okay, so confirm that you can see me and that you can hear me, and this is clearer now. So sorry about that. I needed to find a network that works where I am. I apologize. Like I said, I'm not seated at my workplace, and yes, it's anniversary time, month, whatever it is that you choose to call it. Yeah, better. All right, let's go there. Who is excited today? This topic is exciting to me because, I talk a lot about life skills. I talk a lot about, children being raised better, children thriving, okay, in, better places and all of that. I find that when it comes to skills, a lot of children, before they even begin to learn skills, they are adults. So I have been privileged to work with parents in the past 5 years, and one thing is very constant. We have adults who are struggling with things that they should have, all right, they should have learned when they were in younger. And of course that has caused quite a lot of stuff for you as an adult. So imagine that the things that you're supposed to learn as a child, okay, you are now struggling with it as an adult. What it simply means is that there are a lot of things that you would have, there have been gaps, a lot of things that you would have done better that you're not able to do better. So imagine that these life essential skills, all right, that you actually learned it as a child, even before your child becomes a teenager. Now, one of the very disturbing things that we also do is that, so our children, you find out that our children are, we're actually waiting for them to become teenagers, and then we begin to struggle with them. There's something that we call the window of opportunities, and that window of opportunities shut down, and then there's a lot of struggle, and then you are now, having to actually really, really, really fight because these skills were not learned when they should be learned. Now, I'm going to be sharing with you 7 life essential skills every child would need for them to thrive in school and also in life generally. Okay, so talking about school, of course, it means that this is going to help them really, as students. And if they are also, after being student, collaborating with people and, living with people and all of that, these skills will help them eventually to, thrive in life. Number one, who can guess number one on that skills? This is not, it isn't exhaustible, right? But I am just picking these 7 core ones for you to be able to, work with, all right, in the meantime. Of course, if you are in the inner circle, you will know that the skills abound. Of course, that this is just just looking through into just a bit of it, and then you can start where you can start from somewhere. There are many life essential skills that children need to thrive in life, but these 7 are of most importance. Number one skill is, somebody says, spiritual intelligence, emotional intelligence. See ya, there. Executive functioning skills. Now, all right, let us come from there. Number one is executive functioning skills. Now, executive functioning skills is, encompassing, right? It is not a one thing. Now, executive functioning skills, people say, oh, what are they are a set of skills put together as one to actually, it works from the executive part of the brain, okay? So when people say, but we turned out okay, many of us are actually operating below these executive functioning skills. Many, I didn't say all of us, many of us, not even most of us, all right? Now, what are these executive functioning skills? Number one is adaptable thinking. So, when I talk about executive functioning skills, one of the very core things that Mrs. Snook, one of the very core things that I find out when it comes to executive functioning skills is, people not being able to pay attention to it. And then when quite a number of us are actually battling with a lot of executive functioning skills. Now, top on that list, let's talk a bit about critical thinking. Let's talk a bit about adaptable and critical thinking. What does that even mean? Now, a lot of the times, you find out that there are 2 kinds of strategies, all right, to use to be able to create. Some of us are the red ocean kind of strategists. Now, some of us are the blue ocean kind of strategists. What does it mean to be a blue ocean kind of strategist? Blue ocean kind of strategist simply means that you are a creative. You create from, you a lot of vision, yeah? Then red ocean is that, you do the copy and paste. You copy out from what somebody have done. What kind of quick thing? You just want to, have it been tested? Have you done it? Now, this is what many of us do, all right? When it comes to parenting, we are mostly red ocean kind of strategies. All right, red do what was available. We just want to do what we saw. We just want to do what it is that I call it playing safe. All right, copy, paste, modify here and there, and just be safe. All right, red ocean. And then in that red ocean, there's a lot of swimming, biting, hitting everybody, failing, and all of that. And then you come out and then you blame everybody for not being able to also thrive in that red ocean. Now, what does it mean to be a blue ocean strategist? It means adaptable thinking. It means critical thinking. All right, it means critical thinking. Now, what does it mean to begin to think? So thinking, most of us were raised to not to ask how or why. We were told how. So when you ask your mom something, I give you a very typical example. When I started cooking jollof rice, I was quite young. And then I grew up and I started cooking jollof rice again. I started teaching my child, all right, my children how to cook jollof rice. My son just copied the thing and just moved. And, my daughter is, a creative. And, when it comes to the kitchen, son creates when it comes to other parts of, thing. But when it comes to the kitchen, my daughter believes that nothing is impossible. She believes that why does it have to be a one-way thing? Why do you have to tell me that it has to be your way? And, she said to me that the way I cook jollof rice, why must it be that way? That's a new way. And then, of course, I have been cooking jollof rice for 20-something years before this girl came on board to start cooking with me. Come on. And this girl now told me that she has a better strategy. The interesting thing, I allowed her to go through that strategy. And the interesting thing is that my daughter cooks better jollof rice than I do. She's 13. She started cooking jollof rice when she was 8 or 9. She cooks jollof rice better than I do. Why? Because she questioned why. What I knew was a how. So I copied and pasted whatever it is that I saw my mom did. And I didn't think I should question what it is and the why behind the things that she was doing. Now, that's the difference. The blue ocean strategist and the red ocean strategist. Now, I couldn't, think about, thinking it through, thinking the why behind it. Now, adaptable thinking helps you to question the things that you used to know. All right? It helps you to question what you used to know. And I keep saying it that he who knows why is superior and greater than he who knows how. The how is important. All right? The how is important. But if you know the why, it means that you can create even without that how, that that copy and paste that you were given. Now, adaptable thinking is one core aspect that when you arm your child with it, it changes the game. Because it means that your child can think, all right, in a very interesting way. Okay. So, for instance, I remember that when my son was taught to write prose. Now, I'm giving you examples how this can help your child in education and in life. All right. So he was asked to write prose. I think that was in literature or drama. I can't remember. And then he used a movie that he saw. He described it using the movie, using the characters in an exam. And the teacher was wowed. In fact, he called him and asked him, how did you think about this? Being able to, adapt it to whatever it is, all right, that I was saying. Now, most people just copied and pasted what the teacher was saying, but he was able to think of it using other scenarios, adapting it outside of what it is that they can see. Now, when you teach your children adaptable thinking, what happens? Adaptable thinking and critical thinking, what happens is that your children, they are able to look at things and be able to actually take it out of the whole context. That's the word. Thank you, Stephanie. It makes a child stand out because you're going to be thinking of adapting whatever it is that you're learning in the circumstances, other circumstances, and look at how you can recreate using that same system. Now, if you teach your child how to think critically, if you teach them how to, adaptable thinking, that means when they also go to school, when they are learning, they will also be able to learn it. Now, when my children go into trouble, all right, I have taught them adaptable thinking. When they go into trouble, they don't come crying or they don't come, wailing and looking at how I ask them. First question in my home is, what do you think you can do differently? I remember one of those days our daughter had, run through the whole house. There was no vegetable oil to cook rice, and she bleached palm oil. And she said to me, what is there? Is it not oil to make it greasy and all of that? I bleached it and I used it, and the rice was still very much okay. Now, your children need to be able to adapt. Our son lost his bottle and he thought of it. Okay, while I'm trying to look for it, I can use a bottle of a drink, wash it, and use it for water bottle in the meantime, while I'm also working on how to get this, and move with it. Now, adaptable thinking changes the game both in life and in education for your child. Now, executive functioning skills. All right, time is not going to permit me to reel out everything about executive functioning skills, but the academy, the Intentional Parents Academy Inner Circle program, is built around executive functioning skills. Another part of executive functioning skills is planning. Part of what we do is that we even give parents tools to be able to help them to plan. And planning is part of that executive functioning skills. You find out that most of us were not raised to plan. That's why you find most of us, you were, born in my times. Most of the times you have this mentality of what will be, will be. Somebody saw my post on our wedding anniversary and we're talking about planning. And the person said to me, oh, just agree with it. You're just lucky to have a good marriage. I said, I don't believe in luck. Hear it and hear it well. Assumptions, luck, all those things. When you actually build on principles, you will get the required result that you're looking for. But we're not raised to plan. And that's why I like the way Bishop Oyedepo says it. He says, prayer without planning is like you living in the wood without knowing it. Most of the times, that's what we do. We pray, we don't plan. Because we have this belief that there's one spiritual thing that's going to happen and just take place for everything it is that we're doing. And everything will just become perfect. It doesn't work like that. Planning. So one of the things that we do, all right, in the academy is to plan through the systems, plan through the things that you need, plan through your parenting. Most of us have nothing planned out. Today I had a conversation with Edith. She's here watching me. And we're talking about, she was like, coach, you are on honeymoon. I don't want to hear anything by December. And, I laughed and I said, no, we're done with that 13 years ago. And, we started talking about planning. Most of us do not plan. Most of us just think that there's going to be one magic that will happen and then everything goes all right. I've taught my children how to plan, how to, look at things and look at your life in the next, 5 years and all of things are going to, happen, but there's going to be a template for you to work with. So when people ask me about my marriage and all of that, we've worked with the template in the past 14 years. Yesterday we're 14 years and married. Worked with the template. Has it changed? Yes. Have we tweaked things? Yes. But in that process, there is something for us to work on, and there's something for us to pray on. Most of our prayers are empty because there's nothing to pray on it. Planning is part of the executive functioning skills. All right. So as you pray, you need to plan. That's why in that Bible scripture, it says, have you ever seen someone who is about to build a house and didn't count the cost? How do you set off to parent and you don't count the cost? The cost will mean the knowledge you need to acquire, the finances you need for it, the time you need for it. And then in the middle of nowhere, you start saying, no, I don't have time. I don't have this one. I don't have that. Means you're not even prepared to be a parent. Unfortunately, most of us are not. All right. We just stumbled on being parents. So planning is part of executive functioning skill. And that is very key. All right. That is very key to your process. Somebody said her screen is frozen. I think that's his screen. It's not me. All right. That is very, very, very key. Okay. And then someone is still writing, lock. Now, when it comes to principles, learning, planning, there are a whole lot of things. I'm sure by the time, many people, when they finish, go through the academy in 1 year, get to the end, they find out that their choice of a spouse was because of some lacking skills that they didn't have. See, your choice of a spouse, you will choose according to the knowledge base that you have. So it's not luck. You will choose your spouse according to the knowledge base you have per time. It's not luck, trust me. And by the time you even grow, there are things that you know now. If you know them, you will make a choice of the spouse you made. And that's the truth. It's not a conversation a lot of people like to hear, but hey, I don't know how to, make conversations, rapid, here and all of it. So it's not love. All right. And as you begin to learn, that's why exposing your children to a lot of these things arms them to make better decision. That's what I call the parenting advantage. I had one. That's what I call the parenting advantage. The parenting advantage will help your decisions. And that's where, decision making also comes. Many of us were not taught how to make critical, critical decisions. We were not taught. By the time you finish making decisions, all right, that's when you now get to a particular knowledge gap, right? You now realize that, I wouldn't have, if I knew what I knew now, there are a lot of things that I have even done as a parent. If I know what I know now, I wouldn't do them. It's knowledge gap. It's not luck. And that's one thing that we must pay attention to. If you want, continue to say, oh, people that, did this, is all of you. You will choose your spouse according to your knowledge per time. According to your knowledge per time. I had a parent who was very focused on decision making. And of course, that was very critical to my father. So decision making was a core. Learned it growing up. So you can't make decisions and you just, you come out and you say, oh, it's because this person. No, you take full responsibility and work it out. Parenting advantage is a thing. So the earlier you help your children, all right, to actually get these things, you will stop. There are some prayers you won't pray. I was teaching the parents in the inner circle one time, about favor as a skill. There are prayers you will never pray when you get to a certain level of knowledge. Not because you don't need God, but because God has given you a brain to think like a God. And you're not thinking like a God. It's actually a negative for the God that created you. If you can't think like a God, there's a problem with it. It means that there's a gap. All right. So it's not luck. So don't see people who have said, oh, you look at people who have raised their children differently. You say, oh, they are lucky to have. No, these are choices. And, if you make choices, all right, these are choices that you make, all right? Somebody said, what if you are planning and your partner is not intentional about anything and all of that? It boils down to what we're saying. So why not arm your children with it, all right? You are probably married to someone you don't have the same kind of understanding with. That's, by the way, you can't run away. You continue to build it. While you're building it, please teach your children so that they can make better decisions. God gave us brain so that we will not come and be, if God wanted us to be a dummy, you won't have a brain. If God wanted to control everything, he will not have a brain. Trust me. God wants you to think. God wants you to think. All right, let's move on, because this conversation is moving like slowly into the inner circle kind of conversation. Another thing is self-monitoring and self-control. Now, self-monitoring and self-control is one aspect of executive functioning skill that we don't pay attention to. Now, self-monitoring means that I can control something is happening. I'm monitoring what's happening to me. Now, self-monitoring will help your child to actually be able, all right, to actually be able, self-monitoring will help your child to be able to look at their, results. For instance, my children can look at their CA test and know when there is a gap and know when to fill it up. They can monitor themselves. It's a skill. It's a skill because you are able to help yourself see where you are per time. Self-monitoring, self-control. That's where emotional intelligence comes in. If you have never done it, just like when people say, oh, I'm always very angry. I get angry very easily. And people say those things and brag about it. You have a problem. And you say, that's how I am. That's how I'm created. There's nothing like that. You have a problem. That's what it is. Human beings are not created to be out of control. It's animals that are created to be out of control. So if you're out of control, there's something wrong with you. So it means that if your emotions are just everywhere, you cannot put it in check, then you check it. There is something wrong somewhere. Okay? So let us move on. There's another one called working memory. That's also part of executive functioning skills. Now, working memory, how do you develop working memory? Is by the things that your children do on a daily basis, the things that they work out. Now, one of the killers of working memory is screen. I hear parents, you want to put your child, and put and just put your child to just be everywhere and all of that. You are actually killing the working memory of the child. Time will not permit me to talk about the working memory and screen and all of that. Okay, so but know that when it comes to working memory, screen is one of the killers of your working memory of a child. And if you're going to build executive functioning skills, you need to pay attention to that. Okay, if you want to learn more, all right, you can come into the academy. The next one is time management and also organization. Now, time management is a core. Right. Last month we taught parents about time management. How do you manage your time? A lot of us can't manage our time. That's why we're overwhelmed. Many of us get overwhelmed. We get overwhelmed doing nothing, And when people tell me, "Oh, I don't really have time. I don't have time to attend any course. I don't have time to read a book," that means it is the language of those who cannot manage their time well. That's what it is. Lack of time management. That's what makes you say things like, I don't have time for all these things. I don't have time to read a book. I don't have time. You can't manage your time well. Because the interesting thing, those of us who are able to produce, create, do things, all right, have the same 24 hours you and I have. The same 24 hours. So if your 24 hours is not enough, according to you, then you're a poor time manager. And many children today are struggling because they are not being taught. The same thing, it snowballs to be an adult life, and that's it. Part of how you teach time management is also understanding your child's study skills. All right, I'm going to get there. Okay. Then organization. How does your child organize? How does a space look and all of that? A lot of us cannot even organize a place. Okay. You can't organize it. All of these are under executive functioning skills. Ability to organize. We get our children to put their rooms in order, to make sure that their things are arranged and all of that. It's a skill. It helps you, in so many areas of life, including in the choice of a life partner. I'm not going to go into this because it's a very deep, very, very deep, conversation. But just know that the level where you are per time, your decision will be based on the knowledge that you have per time. So when you are, saying to yourself, "Oh, I don't need this knowledge like this. I don't need this one knowledge and all of that." You're doing yourself really. You're actually, slowing yourself down. Very important. Okay, let us move. The next skill, number one, I said executive functioning skills. All right. And by the way, we teach this in details right in the inner circle. You want more details, please jump in, book a slot, join the next cohort, thank me later. All right. Number two is social skills. Now, under social skills, you have communication skills, you have collaboration skills. Now, what does it mean? Communication skills, you have listening skills also. The ability to communicate effectively with others is essential for success in both your personal and professional life. Children need to learn how to express themselves clearly. Children need to learn to listen actively. Children need to learn to use different communication methods appropriately. Now, recently we taught our children how to, not recently, when they were about 6, we taught our children how to write emails. And our children will communicate to us using emails, and then they will write, it, jagged and all of that. We kept insisting, you write the wrong one. We say, no, it's not appropriate to write it again. We were trying to build them on different kinds of communication, including public speaking. In the inner circle the other day, part of the tool was to get the children to create PowerPoint presentations and make presentations. In my home, my children get to make presentations to us. All right. And most of these skills I'm sharing with you, they are not skills your children are going to learn in school. They are skills your children will learn at home first. Every other thing, all right, is just, managing it, being able to put it together, really. Very, very important. I learned how to speak in public. My dad taught me. My dad taught me how to use my body to speak. My father taught me how to, give expression to my words using my hands. This thing that I do now, I learned it from my dad. He taught me the rhythms in words. He taught me the rhythms in communication. So as a parent, if you're lacking, your child is going to lack. It's a simple thing. Because it is as much as you know that your child would actually be able to know. I say that parenting, the outcome of a child is dependent on so many things, all right? And part of, the core things that is dependent on is the environment where that child was raised, who raised that child, and what the person who raised them know. What you know to raise a child is going to make a difference. And that's what we call the parenting advantage. So communication. I'm the one. I believe in my home. We believe that we're the chief, skill teachers in our home. Sometimes I get into the hospital, environment. I see 13-year-olds. Their mom is speaking for them. Even till now, outside, you meet a 7-year-old. What's your name? It's his name is Emeka. And he doesn't really like, talking to people. Your children should be able to learn communication skills in your home. Unfortunately, you don't even know how to actually, speak. That's it. Now, what happens is that your communication, all you know about communication is just yelling. So your home, there is no communication really. You're not really teaching communication. So your children can't communicate. If you're lacking, your child is going to lack. It's a simple thing. And we started to make it, a point of duty that the children, we need to learn to communicate. So you can start by getting them to speak, getting them to collaborate, get them to make friends. I hear parents say, you tell your children come back home. And they tell you what my friend did. They say, you don't need friends. Stay on your own. Come on. How do we even say things like that? That's it. Now, your child, see, human beings are not created to stay alone. We are created to thrive in communities. And until we know how to do it right, we're going to continue to struggle without having the right communities to thrive. So you see all that, you tell your child, they come back crying to you, say, you don't need friends, forget about face your book. How does that make sense? Now, I know your fear. Your fear is that, my child is going to be influenced negatively. Have you ever thought that there are something called friendship skills? Tomorrow, I'm going to go live teaching parents in the inner circle about how to teach their children friendship skills. Yes, there's a skill to how to make friends. Now, a lot of us say, so that they will not be influenced. The sad part is that whether you like it or not, your child must be influenced. You and I are influenced. You and I. Somebody brought you here to be able to listen to me. It means that you are being influenced, whether negatively or positively. We're all being influenced one way or the other. The other day, somebody told me about a particular this thing that I'm supposed to put on my hair and all of that. That's influence. What do you think that is? That's influence. Influence doesn't have to be negative. That's where we miss it. But every single one of us are being influenced by, people around us, pressures, whatever it is. People say, I don't want my children to be, peer pressure and all of that. Everybody is going to be pressurized by peer. You and I get pressurized by our peers. All that time you're scrolling through social media and you see somebody, your friend wore one style, you screenshot it back, you put it in your phone. What do you think that is? That's peer pressure. Why do you have to save it? Why do you have to sew that style? Why do you have to be like that? It's peer pressure. It happens to everybody. So stop saying, you don't need anybody to influence you. You don't need anybody to, do this. Influence doesn't have to be negative. Influence is influence. People get influenced every day. You don't even want to know how much I have been influenced. All right, I remember, so many years ago, I would never tie wrapper. I have this friend, when there's wedding, they would just say, is wrapper we are going to tie like 2 wrapper. I'm like, what is that? I can't even imagine going out for an event and it's not either Iro and Buba or 2 wrapper or something. It's influence. That's what it is. So influence is a core. So when you need to build your child's social intelligence. All right? We get influenced every day. That pastor you're listening to, that is influence. That is influence. So instead of running away from the right thing to actually do, the right thing to teach your children, why not think of how to teach it right? I teach my children how to make friends positively. How? Because I realize that human beings were created to profit and be prosperous only through relationships. That's the only way. Only through relationships. So if there is a negative, influence and all of that, and I'm going to be sharing that in the inner circle tomorrow, so that I do not kill time. Our time is running very fast, and I feel like actually, talking and talking. Somebody is saying, somebody has said, I see coach in my dream. Yeah, that's influence. So let's not look at this influence with this negative, and just say, oh, influence mustn't be negative. Influence can be positive. All right. And then we also talked about collaboration skills. That's under, social skills. You need to be able to help your children. All right. Talk about help the children be able to collaborate. All right. Let them be able to mix up with people. Quite a number of you lock your children up in the house. You are killing your child. Sorry. That's the truth. You are actually killing your child. All right. I will stop here because I can only say further the things I want to say to the parents in the inner circle, so that you don't stone me and say, what did you say? No, I don't know that. So let's just keep it at that. But just know that your child not associated with people, you're making your child socially awkward, and there is no prosperity without relationship. There is no prosperity without relationship. Quote, that's why, when God says be fruitful, he meant be relational. You cannot you cannot be fruitful without relationships. You need relationship. Your children need to learn to collaborate. Children need to learn to thrive. All right. Your children need to learn to actually do a whole lot. All right. So let us move. The next skill, we have shared two of those skills. The next skill is financial literacy. Okay, financial literacy. Now, quite a number of us think that financial literacy is leaving stuff for our children. That's not what financial literacy is. Financial literacy involves understanding how to manage money, and knowledge of money is actually more important than what you just keep for money. Making sound decisions for money. Many of us were told that money is evil. So a lot of you didn't even learn how to make money. How to make money. A lot of us didn't learn it. Because, our parents, you tell them, how much was this? They say, will you give me back? Our financial literacy is zero in our generation. Most of us had to learn financial literacy as adults. I even learned it, after. It was a disadvantage I got. And then meanwhile, my father was a creator of money. All right. And I didn't learn it. He didn't think it was, something that he should actually, pay key attention to. All right. Right now, I'm teaching my children how to make money, how to multiply money, how to, increase money. If I talk to many of you now, and you just say, pay money. A lot of people feel, you feel a bit, you feel somehow about somebody charging money for their craft. Why? It's because we have poor financial literacy. It's because there's something about money that just aches us. You just feel it's evil. Somebody says, you need to pay me for my service. You say, must everything be about money? There's just something that just tells us that when you talk about money, you shouldn't really talk about money in that manner. Money is just evil. It's a problem. Big one. I was having a session with one of my mentees, and I said, you need to first of all go and read the psychology of money. When you are done reading the psychology of money, then we can continue this conversation. Because there's this psychology that when you see someone that had a lot of money in Nigeria, the first thing that comes to our head is that who knows where he got his money from? Because that's what we were taught. I even grew up where money ritual was a thing. I grew up on the street where Otokoto, was. Otokoto was number one. I grew up on Otokoto Avenue. That's where I grew up. Otokoto was my neighbor. So if you know the story of Otokoto, where those years, Otokoto was my neighbor. So that's where I grew up. So of course, in that times, I believe that, everything money was like, money. People are scared of talking about money.
People are scared. You're scared. That's why, somebody even reached out to me one time and said, do we need to buy? Maybe you should not sell everything, just, use this one. I said, no. That's my craft. I sell what I want to sell. I'm not afraid to tell you that you pay me money for my services. I'm not. I've moved from there. So you need to teach your children about money. And it's a core thing that we're also going to be treating right in the inner circle. Financial literacy is a core for me because I see that there's even something called financial trauma. Many of us are traumatized with the word money. Hey, the moment you want to even talk about it, as I'm even talking about it now, you're thinking, yes, it's true now. Everything is not really about money. I know, I know what you mean, coach, but everything's not really about money and all of that. Yeah. But the problem is that you don't even know what money is. All right. For you think of money in terms of paper, and you don't even know that relationships are currencies because you haven't even learned it. So, of course, you don't get it because you were already told that money is the root of all evil. In anything about exchange, must you get something? You don't get it. There are 7 currencies of the world. Money is just one of them. So if you teach your children about financial literacy, then money will just be at the top part of it, and money will just be at the bottom. It's not all of that. It is. We were all told, oh, you need to heal from every aspect. All right, every aspect of childhood trauma, financial trauma, terrible thing. All right, and I'm going to be taking my time to actually teach it intentionally to the parents in the inner circle. Right. So relationships are currency. Honor is a currency. All right, and these are currencies that can buy you things. But of course, we were not taught. We were only taught that don't mention money. Once you do, everything makes it all wrong. The next one is self-directed and engaged learning. Self-directed and engaged learning. That's the next skill. Skill number 3. Self-directed. I'm going to rush a bit fast because our time is fast spent. All right. Self-directed and engaged learning. For you to actually help your children learn this particular skill, you would need to, a child who loves learning becomes an adult who is rarely bored in life. You need to encourage the love of learning. You need to try to limit, encourage a lot of learning. But how do you start that? You need to do that starting from the weakness of your child to their strength. Nobody learns from, we're starting from their strengths. You learn from strength to weakness. And how do you recognize the strength? You need to understand how your child learns. How your child learns is their learning strength. I didn't know learning strength was kind of, being able to learn in a kinesthetic way, being everywhere and all of that. It was a strength. But because we didn't know, it was seeming or looking like a negative. And when we understood how your child can learn, it changed the game. So if you have not registered for becoming an understanding your child's learning style, you do your child a disservice because you will not be able to teach your child this particular skill. For your child to actually be self-directed, self-directed and engaged learning skills. That's what it is. All right. It helps to model curiosity, enthusiasm for learning in life. And I'm not talking about passing exams. I'm talking about learning. One of the things that have built some of us have been because we were taught how to learn, not how to pass exams. And the interesting thing, when your child learns to learn, they will also pass exams. I came out top of my class. It's not, you will just learn. You will just pass because you're learning. If you have not registered for becoming for understanding your child's learning style, please, all right, let me go ahead and register for that course now. It's 15,500 for people who are not in the inner circle. Of course, the inner circle parents get to do a different kind of payment, all right? And so you can make payment, all right? You can make payment right in our account. I'm going to share the details. I'm going to share that details right I'm going to share that details right on my screen so that we can have all of these. But if you actually look at this, if you look at my screen, the description of this video, I'm sure that details of that will be there. All right, so if you want to register for this, the course starts in 6 days. You want to actually, teach your children how to learn, not just how to pass exams. All right, this is how to learn. You learn to learn. Learning to learn is an amazing thing. All right, learning to learn, it kills all the, oh, I want to. There are people. I'm not bragging. There are quite a number of parents who have joined the inner circle who were at the verge of suicide, but because of the joy of learning that happens in the inner circle, it turned the tides for them. Many. I'm not going to name names, of course. Many. And it changed it. Now, if you do not teach your child the joy of learning, at some point in life, your child is going to struggle. And when they begin to struggle, it's usually very bad. Please register for this course. Teach your children how to learn. This is very important. The next one is the skills on how to take challenges. Now, one of the most important traits we can develop in life is resilience. I call it resilience skills. Being able to take on challenges, being able to bounce back, adversity skills, being able to bounce back from failure and keep trying. Now, a lot of our children can't fail. Teach your children the beauty in failure. Teach your children the beauty in failure. There's beauty in failure. And when you begin to actually learn to fail and learn to understand why failure is good, it changes the game. Sorry, give me a minute. All right? It changes the game for you. It changes the game for you. Failure, all right? Adversity. Your children need to learn adversity. Your children need to learn adversity. Trust me. All right? Okay? It's not enough to make them feel safe. You need to encourage your children. I tell the parents in the inner circle, allow your children to do dangerous things carefully. There's something called reasonable risk. Climbing a tree, riding a bike, going out to go and buy something. They are reasonable risk. They are reasonable risk. Let your children focus more on the effort than the achievement. That's what learning is. Very important. Let your children learn to take on challenges. All right? This is very, very critical. The next one is your child will need to learn focus skills. Attention. For you to drive attention today, you need focus. For you to make money today, you need to drive attention. Attention is a new gold. If you do not teach your children focus skills, your child can thrive. Because right now, as we speak, attention is gold. Gold, gold. You're all watching me today because I have your attention. That's what it is. I have your attention. Over 200 people streaming live, and then we're going to have more than 1,000 people watching and catching replay eventually. I have your attention. Attention is gold. You need to teach your children focus. How do you build attention? You build it by teaching them to focus on a thing. Focus on a thing. All right? So it is very important that you teach your children focus skills. Let them learn to, and let me say this, screen takes away focus. It doesn't build focus. Screen takes away focus. It doesn't build focus. For those of you who say, my children are learning, all these things that they say about screen, my children learn how to speak Oyibo English on the screen. I don't know, whatever that meant. But please note that this will take away focus. If your child cannot really focus, they can't command attention. It is only when you are able to focus, that's when you can command attention. Look and watch everybody who commands attention today is because they are focused on a thing. Teach your children ability to focus on a thing. It's going to change the game for them forever. It could be that your child is focusing on something that is, in quotes, not even, a big deal or something. It transforms. Attention, again, is gold. For you to create attention, you need a level of focus. Without focus, you cannot command attention. Teach your children focus skills. So how many have we put? Now, the next one, I don't know if it was up to 7. Yeah, I think it is. The next one is perspective taking. Perspective taking. Thinking about another point of view. It doesn't come naturally to a lot of people. It can be developed. How do you develop it? You discuss character feelings, the motivation in books. Usually I'll tell my children, I wonder why that cat and the pig couldn't help the red hen. Why? Make observation about how others are feeling. Let the children take perspective. Let them, you can also name it empathy. All right? Let the children be able to, without perspective taking, you cannot be empathic. Because empathy is about, being able to actually look at the decisions that you're making from your end and look at how it affects the next person. The next one is, and the last one, decision-making skills and problem-solving skills. Decision-making skills and problem-solving skills. All right? Now, I remember that recently at our last vacation, we were with our son. We had said, oh, where are the places you want to go to when we get to the UK? Everybody said where they wanted to go to. We booked tickets, we bought it, and then we got there. And one of the places our son chose on his bucket list was, according to him, wasn't the kind of place he would have loved to go and see. And then when he started whining, he started trying to, say how his dad made him make choice of the place. And my husband and I, we gave him a rundown lesson. In fact, if you read Raising Independent Thinking Child, that's one thing about my books. They are real lessons. They are real life lessons. They are things you can learn and implement immediately. I wrote it in Raising an Independent Thinking Child. Right? And when the child, when we were now, talking to him, we're like, we had to give him lesson on when you take decisions, you must critically look at the aspects of decision taking. There are aspects of decision taking, and it must never be dependent on anybody. Not your mother, not your father, not your friends. All right? Decision taking. And it is very important. Decision taking, problem solving skills. A lot of us were not taught to solve problems. That's why we can't really create. Now, creativity is a function of problem solving. Many children who are taught to solve problems can create. It's very simple. And many children who are taught to solve problems are good mathematics children, because mathematics is problem solving. You solve mathematics, you don't write it, you solve it. It's a problem, you solve it. And that's one of the ways that I use to crack the code on mathematics, on teaching mathematics. One of the core things we brag about in the academy is children doing well in maths. In Inner Circle, if you follow, the tools, you will be able to actually get your child to do well in mathematics. Simple, it's a simple thing, really. I struggled with mathematics, so I needed to know why. All right, and of course, I found it. So right now, my children don't struggle with problem solving at all. They don't struggle with mathematics. So when you bring something to us, and the first thing we ask you is, how do you solve the problem? The problem is that you always want to build your children out. So you can't really teach some of the skills. So when it comes to problem solving, you find out that most of our children struggle with it because you also struggle with it. You struggle with decision making and problem solving skills. You can't make decisions on your own. You can't, that's why, all right, you come out and you say things like, oh, it's luck. That's why the person I married is luck. That's what happened to me. I was just not lucky and all of that. No, it's a function of how you can solve a problem, how you can decipher a thing, how you can make decisions at that point in time per time. And one of the things that we're teaching our children every time is how to take responsibility for the decisions they make per time. It doesn't, it's void of us. So you make a decision, it's yours. When you tell your children that, if they pass exam, you are going to, kill the whole world for them. No, we've made our children understand that your motivation for passing exam is intrinsic, it's not extrinsic, it's not from us. You pass exam, you fail exam, it's fine. Our job is to go and look for money and pay for the exams. We're not afraid of you failing. So our children get it. They understand the place of, making decisions for themselves, being able to, work out their own stuff, being able to make this decision and know that this is going to affect me first before it even affects the next person. And you will need to be able to also step aside and teach your children. Many of us do not want our children to make decisions. I give you simple examples. You choose the socks that your child will need to go to school with. You choose the clothes that your 12-year-old should go to church with. Why? How do you teach decision making to your child when you can't even, allow your children to make simple, common decisions on their own? Your child cannot even decide to make a meal the way they think it will look okay because you are afraid. You are afraid. You are afraid of the mistakes they will make. Why are you afraid of mistakes? If your child is not making mistakes, then they are not learning. So you need to actually begin to step away from making decisions for your child so that your child can learn to make decisions on their own. They finish making decisions for you. You just come out, marry somebody, and then you now say, oh, you were just lucky. No, you were not taught how to make decisions and stand on it and look at it critically. There are 7, critical steps to decision making. All right. When we're talking about mental resilience and critical thinking later on in the year in the inner circle, we teach that. How to make decisions. The other day, we taught the parents in the inner circle how to solve a problem. Most of us don't even know how to solve a problem. That's why you throw a tantrum. That's why when your child is doing something, you're beating your child, you're shouting, you're yelling. That is you not knowing how to solve a problem. Unfortunately. But you think that's how I'm a super parent. I just yell, I just scream. That's what you think. Because that's what you've been sold to. It simply means that you lack the ability to solve a problem. You have a problem. Have you been able to, sit and think critically? How can I solve this problem to help me and my child? And if you cannot do that, then forget it. It doesn't change nothing. So you need to, all right, learn to solve problems. Somebody's asking, is this teaching applicable with children in autism? Yes. Well, we're going to do the understanding your child's learning style. Autistic children can do a lot. And that's why we actually think there are a lot of parents in the inner circle where their children are autistic and doing so amazingly today. Autism. In fact, some of the autistic, tendencies we also see is even screen-induced autism. Wrong parenting, induced autism. I've seen it severally. So you're there all over the place. Something happens, you're screaming, you're throwing a tantrum. Is that all tantrum? It means you can't solve a problem. So during the Understanding Your Child Learning Style course, we're also going to be sharing with you, about learning disabilities. Some of your children have learning disabilities. You don't know anything about it. You can't help your child. You are a disadvantage to your child, not an advantage. So when your child is doing something, your child is learning, doing assignment, you're screaming at the child, you're shouting at the child, come on. It just shows knowledge gap. That's what it shows. There are sometimes I write on social media, and some people come there, and say, oh no, it's a lie. I just look at, the knowledge gap that is there. I'm just weak because I can't even explain it from that end. So we're going to be discussing, teaching you about learning disabilities, teaching you about teaching your toddlers from, 0, teaching you about teaching your teenagers in case that you have already passed that stage. So we're going to be doing all of this at the Understanding Your Child Learning Style course, because I understand that, learning disability is real. I was telling somebody, recently, I even shared it. I think that was on Thursday Live last week. I have a learning disability. I have directional dyslexia. I have a problem with direction. So I had to learn. Does it mean that the person will not learn it? No, it just means that you need extra effort. When I started driving, that's when I recognized that I actually had a learning disability. Oh yes, directional dyslexia is a learning disability. I don't know why we think that this disability is one thing. We just say, oh, your child does it. You don't want to just, hide. Fine, there is a solution for these things. All right? So there's learning difficulty. Yes, there's learning disability. Okay. And these things are very, very, very key. You can manage them. You can help your child if you know where. Some children actually are dyslexic in one way or the other, but we don't know. We're frustrated. You'll be frustrated because you don't know. Again, you are either an advantage to your child or you're a disadvantage to your child. You need to choose one today. Which one am I? A disadvantage or an advantage? You can be me, all right? That recognized that my son was struggling to read at age 6 after the sister had already started reading fluently to the point of reading valedictory speeches from nursery to primary, all right? And I decided to look for a solution. Or you can decide to just do nothing And when I looked for solution, I realized that it was simple not understanding how my son learned. So I couldn't teach him. We couldn't teach him. The moment we realized that our son was a dominant kinesthetic learner, it changed the game for us. Today we have a son who is doing almost 100% in secondary school. 100%. People come to us and say, your son is all this, your son. We just laugh. We have paid a price. And no, it's not luck. We are not lucky. We're not lucky. We have done the work. There is work to do. There is work to do. And you choose to either do that work, all right? Or you actually decide, you know what? I'm not going to just do anything. I'm just going to just keep complaining and complaining. And we could have complained. Our son is 13 today, doing amazing. People say, is it Janus? Is it this? Is it that? Whatever it is that you choose to call him, he was made. Great parents are not born, they are made. Great children are not born, they are made. You can make or mar your child. The choice is yours. So the next time you see me and say, you are just lucky. Somebody even told me, you're just lucky. Your children are just a certain way because you are just lucky. No, I'm not lucky. I have done a lot. I'm not lucky. And you can, the same way that parents in the inner circle will tell you, it's not luck. There's a lot of work. And the moment you do that work, it changes the tides for you. So you can decide to pay the price of this 15,500 naira today, or continue to complain and say, you know what, all these things, all these children, that means there are children who are dumb. Some children are not. No child is born dumb. No, quote me anywhere. Even the children that you say, they are autistic, the other day it was a child who is autistic that became a professor, and the mom was sharing what it is that they did. There is always what to do. The question will be, are you willing to pay the price? Are you willing to pay the price? Paying the price will mean that you gain knowledge and implement it. You gain knowledge and implement it. The knowledge is the differential quotient when it comes to parenting. Knowledge is a differential quotient. Trust me, I wouldn't be speaking like this today if our son, it's not, we didn't discover that and we didn't help him. I would have just said, some children are just born to be like that. Some children are just, you can maybe because they mother the gene and all of that. There's nothing like that. The moment you do the work, it changes the tides in your parenting. Quote me anywhere, try it. Quote me anywhere, there is a price to pay. So let nobody tell you that parenting is whatever would be. Parenting is what you give. That's what you actually, receive. It's seed time and harvest. It's seed time and harvest. The seed has a time. Don't miss the seed. Don't miss the time to plant the seed. The harvest is timeless. Right now is like a harvest time in some of the things that we have done in the past. And people look at us and say, wow, your children can do it. Your children can do that. Your children, and all of that. Somebody saw my son on a bike, going to buy something in the market and all of that. I said, I saw your children bike. Your children can, there is a price to pay. There is a price to pay. And before you jump into conclusion on the things that we post on social media, know that is display. There is what to do to get that result that you're seeing there. Are you willing to gain that knowledge and change the ties for your children and even your generation to come? You can't explain it. Thank you so much, Mercy Victor. All right? You can't explain it. It's a process. You build on it, and then you continue to build on it. And the moment you do the work, you will see it. It just changes. Parenting can be different for you if you really decide to pay the price today. It's either you pay the price today or you pay it tomorrow. Either way, you do the time. There is always a price to pay. And unfortunately, there's something that we call parenting scars. Sometimes the price you don't pay today might leave a scar forever on both your child and yourself. Pay the price today and you'll be glad that you did. In 6 days, the Understanding Your Child's Learning Style course takes off, and you will never regret being in any of our courses. I can assure you. Money bank guarantee. You don't get what you're looking for, then come back. Inner circle parents will say, when you get into the inner circle, you don't get it, come back and then come and take. If you want to join the inner circle, the next cohort starts on the 1st of December 2023. All right? if you want to book a slot now, we currently have over 500 people on the wait list as we speak today. It means that when we get to the apex, there's a number we can't take. The academy is not as, so there's a number that we're going to peg it at. As soon as we get to that number this year, we will shut down on registration. We already have 2,500 parents in the present cohort. And of course, it means that the number is going to, escalate. So the earlier you book a slot, the better for you. See you at the Understanding Your Child's Learning Style course. And for Yada, see you tomorrow at that session. I can't even wait to deliver that session to you. It's amazing. Cuts across everything. It's going to help you, not just your child, to become, change the game and change the tide. All right. Do not forget, there's always the price to pay. The price you refuse to pay today might be a scar to your child in the future and to you as well. Are you going to be a parenting advantage to your child or a parenting disadvantage? Thank you, and do have an amazing day. Do not disturb me. I'm going back to my honeymoon mode right now. All right. So see you guys and have an amazing week ahead of you.